This is September 23rd, 2025, and it's a happy anniversary to my wife. This is Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff, the Lower Michigan Forecast Edition. As we jump into the forecast, we have an area of low pressure that in the upper atmosphere that is moving through the upper Great Lakes. These things will start to move a little bit more as we get through things now that Hurricane Gabrielle has started to move to the east. Hurricanes tend to block up the pattern a bit. So we are starting to get some movement, and we're expected to see a little bit more here going on. That will cause a few things to happen here in the central part of the U.S., which is where most of the action is expected. We are expecting a little bit more high pressure. These ridges will kind of move in and push that low out eventually here, so that the next few days should start to slowly warm up, so that we're getting back close into the 80s again. Doing the surface analysis, you can see the front that went through yesterday and caused that tornado. There was a confirmed tornado over in on north end of Torch Lake. It actually started overland and then went over northern part of Torch Lake. And I think then it dissipated before it finished crossing the entire lake. But it did cause some debris as it went when it was on land before it went out over the water. Otherwise, that's all moving off. We're expected to not have any more thunderstorm threat. There's still some lingering showers out around this area, as we usually get during this time of year, with the lakes being so warm relatively and the cooler air that's kind of starting to filter in. We do have another system that's off to the west that will try to move in. However, high pressure is expected to kind of keep that stuff off to the north for us, and then the rest of everything across the country, these other cold fronts there in the central part of the U.S. and that warm front should stay south of us as it continues its push to the south. Kind of take a look at with what's going on. We have several dense fog advisories out this morning. This is as of 8:30. It's currently 10 o'clock as I've been doing this. It was still hanging on there in the Detroit area. You have a flood watch out in the middle part of the U.S. As we kind of talked a little bit about. They actually have a winter weather advisory there in the mountains there west of Denver. There are a couple of frost and freeze advisories going on in Wyoming and in Colorado, as well as then also in Montana and Idaho. So there's a fair amount of things going on. There are some small craft advisories on either coast out in the oceans. Kind of take a look at the satellite image here, the loop. You can see that what's left of that front that moved through part of at least northern lower Michigan yesterday. We still have an area of low pressure. You can kind of see that turning there up by the UP over Lake Superior. The front will continue to move out during the day. You can kind of see the little tail end here trying to push through and push the rest of that out. This area of thunderstorms is located with that low and the cold fronts that are out there and the warm front. This is where the heaviest rain is expected to be occurring here over the next day or so. Otherwise, across the rest of the region, we see just mainly showers and thunderstorms coming up over Florida. They're going to probably have some rain issues as well. And then there's just an upper level low out there in the Atlantic. Kind of give you an overall view of what's going on. It's kind of a busy weather map here as far as the outlooks are concerned. If we look at the hurricane situation, Gabrielle up here, which is a Category 4 hurricane, has now made the turn to the east. So that should help move our weather systems along. The main wave that they're expecting, that's this red area where it is expected to be 70% or better for a chance of development over the next 7 days. It's probably getting closer to day 3 or day 4, so just a little bit out past the 48-hour period. We'll see, but that is expected to start up, especially looking at some of the computer models. It probably won't develop until it's a couple of days out. This orange area has a 40% chance. You can see the wave itself. They marked it off with an X there, getting into the Lesser Antilles, Leeward Island area. It won't probably develop until it gets into this orange area, which will be several more days yet. In fact, if you look at some of the computer ensemble models, they don't really pick up on that much, other than just a weak wave until it gets up into that general area. And there's a whole host of things that could go wrong with that forecast. Narda it's currently a tropical storm, expected to be at least a Category 2 hurricane at some point, but it is no threat to land. Back closer to home, we do have the chance for thunderstorms here for the rest of the day in the eastern part and lower, most of lower Michigan. Northwest lower looks like it is done with the front having moved on. I'm not sure what's causing, other than that the upper low is up there by the UP. So probably some instability there in the eastern UP that could still kick off a few thunderstorms. But otherwise, the main action where the slight risk for severe weather and the slight risk for excessive heavy rain continues on in Arkansas. Primarily, that's the ground zero, but otherwise that spreads all the way up into the Ohio River Valley, as well as then down into East Texas. If we take a look at tomorrow, we continue to see that the chance for thunderstorms continues to move south. Northern lower Michigan should be out of it almost completely. Southern lower, however, there's still a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms at that point on the backside of the low and the cold front. The main action, however, will continue to be there in Kentucky and the Appalachians, as you get into West Virginia as well, and central and eastern Tennessee. That's where the slight risk for excessive heavy rain is concerned, and then there's a marginal risk of severe weather that kind of goes over top of almost all that same area. You can see out into the east, or out into the west, right around the El Paso area, there's a marginal heavy rain threat as well, with thunderstorms in that area. And there's even one in Southern California. As we get onto day 3, which would be, today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It would be Thursday. There's a slight risk for severe weather there along the East Coast, and then there in the mountains there's not a slight risk, it's a marginal risk of severe weather in the East Coast, and then it's a marginal risk of excessive heavy rain there in the Appalachians, there in the eastern Kentucky mountains, as well as then up into West Virginia and southwestern Virginia, as well as eastern Tennessee. The rest of the main action then continues on out in the west, where they have a slight risk of excessive heavy rain along the Arizona-New Mexico border. And then there's a slight risk, or a marginal risk of that blossoms all the way back up into Carson City, Nevada. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for lower Michigan today. We have temperatures in the mid-60s in northwest lower Michigan, all the way up to around 80 degrees near the Ohio border. That's down there by Detroit and Adrian and Toledo. That will be cooling off here a bit, at least in the southern part of the lower peninsula by the next day. But first, let's take a look at the precipitation. What is causing this? Well, it's that thunderstorm. It's that front that's been moving through. We still have the chance for showers up this way over the next 24 hours. Most of the rain should be focused there in southeast lower as the front moves through. You can see as you get back closer to Lake Michigan that the percentages do drop off, but they still have likely probabilities, which is 60-70% going into the Grand Rapids area. As you get further off to the east, it's getting up closer to a 90% chance, and it will be contained along the front over the next 24 hours. So that ends tomorrow morning. As we look at Wednesday's forecast then, temperatures in northern lower Michigan do start to warm a little bit more, so we're not mainly in the 60s. We're trying to get around 70 degrees across most of the region. However, with all the clouds and the front still kind of lingering a bit, we're expecting temperatures to be in the 70 to 75 degree range there south of US 10 across most of lower Michigan. Southern lower Michigan. You can kind of see that. You're still expecting some rain showers up there to the north along in northern lower Michigan, but as you get further out, the front will just kind of take its sweet time getting out of here. So you still have 80 to 90% chances there in the Detroit area. As you get further back off to the west, Muskegon, Allegan, Grand Rapids, you're at less than 50% chance for precipitation. All right, and so that leaves us then with the Thursday high temperatures. Temperatures will still be kind of where they are, 65 to 70 in northern lower Michigan, and then 70 to 75 across the rest of southern lower Michigan. The precipitation should start to wind down, where we have less than 20% chance in northern lower Michigan over most of the area. There is some scattered stuff expected there in the southeast counties like Gladwin to about Mayo-ish and Houghton Lake. Those areas should be about 30% plus as that front kind of moves out of the area and finally gets away. Then as you get further into the Detroit area, showers are more likely, at least probably during the early part of the day before everything kind of starts to wind down. And with that, we will end Coffee and a Weather Map for the lower Michigan. So have a great day and take care. We'll see you tomorrow.